Can I do one more? Is that all right? Thank you guys so much. And thank you, Amy, once again for having me. This is such a cool event, and I'm so grateful to be here with you guys. When they asked me what Christmas song I wanted to sing, this was a no-brainer for me. This is my wife's favorite Christmas song. So Haley, this is for you. It's Christmas time. Christmas time is here, happiness and cheer, fun for all that children call their favorite time of year. Snowflakes in the air, not quite yet. Music everywhere, we got that part. Olden times and ancient rhymes, and love and dreams to share. Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere. Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, we'll be drawing near. Oh, that we could always see such spirit through the years. Take it away, Jason. Give us a little more, Jason. Come on. Sleigh bells in the air, beauty everywhere. Yuletide by the fireside, and joyful memories there. Christmas time is here, we'll be drawing near. Oh, that we could always see such spirit through the year. Christmas time is here. Ooh, Christmas time is here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Cody Fry. Man, I thought I was going to levitate during that first song. To see him live and in person, and not just on my little tiny phone screen. I love this night. Last year, I invited as first-time guests, I believe it was last year. Time flies when you stay alive. But this couple from Chicago, they are talented and witty, trend-setting and quirky, and all good things that a musical couple might be. They just flew in today from Chicago, and would you please give them a warm Nashville welcome? John and Val Guerra.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Just thinking of
in my dream. In my dream. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're from Chicago, Illinois, and my name is John. This is Valerie. This is the first time we have played Lighting of the Green when it's been outside.
Yeah, this is like a tender Tennessee Christmas, right?
In Chicago, this would be more like a terrifying Christmas because it would be like -20 degrees.
Yeah.
There would be paramedics because of the cold. Alas, here we are.
Here
We have a tradition. When we got married, I'm an only child. There's not a lot of people in my family. Christmas was like me and my parents and maybe a grandma. She comes from the absolute opposite family. So when we got married and I went to home for Christmas for the first time, I was one of, I don't know, 25 people.
More than that. It's like my family's tradition is that we go to Iowa every year to my grandma's house, and we basically double the town population when we get there, right?
Population of 150, including livestock.
Yes. So John was welcomed into this tradition. My grandma is what you could say the opposite of a minimalist.
Maximalist.
Yeah.
It's like if there's a windowsill and you could fit, her philosophy is why put one nativity when you could put 10?
Yes. Why leave a bookshelf empty on top when you can put tiny people ice skating around, right?
But it's a beautiful testament to the tradition. We go down there every single year, and it grounds us a little bit. So we wrote a song about it. It's called "Will I See You at Grandma's House on Christmas Day."
We have this. We recorded it. We played it for my family. We have it on a CD back there. We'll be back there afterwards. We'll play this song a little more. Thank you, guys. Welcome to my family. Here we go.
Will I see you at Grandma's house on Christmas Day? Puppy chow and chocolate and cheese on the porch in trays. You will have a bed more like a cot on which to lay. You can pick a book or an antique from the display. Will I see you at Grandma's house on Christmas Day? On Christmas Day. Cousin, will I see you in Iowa this year? Papa says drive carefully or you may hit a deer. Come prepared to sing a song for all of us to hear. It doesn't matter if you haven't played for several years. Everyone is proud of you here on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. Everyone is growing up. None of us stays up as long as we used to. We're thinking of the absent ones. Maybe next year. Will I see you at Grandma's house on Christmas Day? Everyone is proud of you here on Christmas Day. Will I see you at Grandma's house on Christmas Day? On Christmas Day. Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright. You look happy to meet me. Blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow
Thanks very much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you so much, John and Belle. It's beautiful. It's so great to hear about somebody else's family. It just makes you realize that your own weird family is just right on track. One of the great things about the music community is that you meet friends through friends. And most of us that spend our lives making music, we're just a bunch of gypsies, always packing a bag to leave home to go to work, climbing in a van or a car or a bus or a truck, and going to someplace else to make music for them. And I look forward to making a lot more music with this next guest. We performed one night together in Detroit, and I just barely got a taste of his deep and wonderful talent. He's an amazing musician, an amazing songwriter, and we're so glad that he's joining us at Lighting of the Green for the first time, Mr. Matt Marr.
Hey everybody, how are you? So I'm from Newfoundland, Canada originally, and yeah, there's always one Canadian in the crowd. I bring him with me. It's just a lot easier actually playing him in the back. And Newfoundlanders Christmas is a very rowdy time. So I wrote this arrangement of a very popular Christmas carol, sort of thinking of how it got boisterous. So I want to teach you this part that we're going to sing. It's real simple. There's no words. So, and if you're tone deaf, just sing loud, okay? We apologize to the person next to you, okay? I guess it goes. La 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 la. Try that. 3, 4. La 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 la. Close enough. You sound like an Irish pub. Perfect. Sing glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild. God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise. Join the tribe of the sky. Righteousness, light and light to all he brings, risen with healing in his amazing thing about the story of Christmas is the amount of time, it's a small detail, but it's the sheer amount of times that God has to tell people, don't be afraid. It's a small detail, but when an angel shows up to Mary, he says, don't be afraid. When angels show up to shepherds, they say, don't be afraid. Angel shows up to Joseph, he says, don't be afraid. Probably because it's just very natural human emotion when we fear things we don't understand. And but I think it's a great reminder in a time and in a season where sometimes we're afraid of the future. Especially, a friend of mine at church used to always joke. He used to always say, it's the most dysfunctional time of the year. The holidays can be real hard for people, and yet God comes in the midst of it. And I love this. He becomes a baby, so you can't be afraid of him anymore. And he wants there to be peace. So this is a new song I wrote about Christmas, and I want to just sing the chorus once. Maybe you can sing it with me after. I'm singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let there be peace. I'm singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let it start in me. With the promise of Emmanuel, one child born in the stillness, living within Emmanuel. We're singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let there be singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let it start in me. Peace for the voiceless, hope for the hopeless, Emmanuel. One love brings us together, now and forever, Emmanuel. Singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let there be peace. Singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let it start in me. Do not be afraid, His love is strong enough to save us. Nothing stands in the way. His love is strong enough to lead us. Do not be afraid. His love is strong enough to save us. Nothing stands in the way. His love is strong enough to lead us. We sing glory, glory, let there be peace, let there be peace. Singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let it start in me. Singing glory, glory, let there be peace, let there be peace. Singing glory, Let there be peace. Let it start in me. Let there be peace. Let it start in me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Matt. Can't be afraid of a baby. It's the most awesome thing. I want to thank the choirs who have been a part of this and the band. We are on the road together much of the year. They're my road family. It would be impossible without these two women who sing all the hard stuff in my songs for many years now. And so I've asked Jenny if she would remind us of the scripture from the New Testament announcing the announcement. And then I asked my dear friend Kim Keys to sing the last song.
There were shepherds out in the field keeping watch over their flock by night. And the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were so afraid. But the angel said, "Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of a great joy that shall be for all people. For unto you is born this day a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Prince of Peace."
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shine. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long may the way in sin and error cry, and we and the soul felt its way. The thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, and yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night divine. Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is peace and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. The thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Would you please make welcome our real hosts, Rhonda and Randy Lowry.
Oh, what a wonderful night it is. Isn't it nice to be outdoors where it's nice and warm? It was cold last year.
Was it Eric?
Friends, last year when we were here, we got to announce the Amy Grant Scholarship given to us by an anonymous donor that wished to remain anonymous. But we are so grateful for those people that claim us and allow students at Lipscomb to pursue their Christian education and pursue especially the arts. This wonderful donor made it possible for a student that wanted to pursue music. And so we want to introduce to you tonight the Amy Grant Scholar for this coming year. This is a wonderful woman studying contemporary music. She's so wonderful that she's so much in love with her art that she wanted other students to have the art. And there were students she knew that couldn't afford to take piano lessons. So she has given her life to giving piano lessons to students that could not afford it. And then she goes on and gives it to some that can so she can help pay for her education. She's involved in nonprofit work. She's a fine academic student at Lipscomb University. Ella McKelvey has never met Amy Grant, and one of the joys that she gets to have tonight is that she is going to get to meet Amy Grant, the named person for whom her scholarship has been given. Would you welcome to the stage Ella McKelvey, the Amy Grant Scholar. What a joy, Ella, to have you. Congratulations. And we are so thrilled that you are at Lipscomb, so thrilled the way you're walking out your faith in your art, and thrilled that you got to meet Amy Grant tonight. Thank you.
Well, 12 years ago, we started this tradition. What have you done for 12 years in a row on almost the same night every single year? Well, this is something we've invited you to. This is something you've supported. Thank you for being part of Lighting of the Green at Lipscomb University. You'll see the drone up there. Do you see that? I think somehow we should stop and wave at it or something, but it's disappeared again. That's just part of the new Lipscomb Air Force. So don't be alarmed. It's just taking your picture. And you'll see that somewhere down the road. We have a wonderful moment this evening as we get to light a Christmas tree. That really was what our CFO said 12 years ago when we said, well, what do we do for our Lipscomb family and our community at Christmas? And well, back then it was giving out frozen turkeys. This is a big improvement on that. And we get to celebrate this visual moment and this musical moment. But before we do that, I know that you would want to thank the people who have spent literally days preparing for this moment. And so let's begin with all those who are out here day after day, setting up the stage, doing all the physical work to prepare for this particular moment. Would you thank Walt Lever and his entire staff of people who make this possible? And I was talking to one of the band members who remembers that night 12 years ago in front of Burton as we initiated this. The band has been consistent. The choirs have been consistent. They've been behind this along with a number of special guests. Let's thank all of those who have performed for us during the last 12 years. And the producer of the show every year, the person who brings her name, who brings her talent, but who brings her heart to this, let's thank Amy Grant once again. And now it's our pleasure to light a Christmas tree. If you've been here in some years, you know we've been inside Allen Arena, and frankly, you don't know if we ever lit a Christmas tree. We just counted down and there it was on the screen. But tonight, because we're outside on the warmest day, probably between now and next April, the warmest day, we're going to be able to turn, or if you want to just relax and watch the screens, but we're going to actually prove to you that every year we do light a tree. And we're going to have some people help us do that. Lipscomb University is a comprehensive university. This year we had the great honor of having the folks at Carnegie change our classification from a regional master's university to a national research university. So as you join our community, you now join a school that's in the top 3% of all colleges and universities in the nation. And we are glad to have you here, a part of that great tradition. But we're one of the smallest schools in the country that has a Division I athletic program, and yet they're doing well. So tonight we've asked 3 of our student athletes to help us light the Christmas tree. They are athletes that are part of winning teams this fall. Our women's cross-country team won the Atlantic Southern Conference Championship. And just a few days ago, our women's volleyball team won the championship. They leave tomorrow for Manhattan, Kansas for the first round of the NCAA playoffs. So representing those teams, would you please welcome, representing volleyball, Katie Bradley, you could have figured that out. Representing cross country, Barbara Lee Ball and Sandra Sally Larson. And I'm going to have you go over, if you will, to where we do this. Come on over. And we're going to invite my grandkids to come out. They're over here too. And no one ever knows if this works or not. And before, when we've done it on video, it didn't have to. But tonight there is a tree, and when you 3, Barbara, come on up here. When you 3 put your hands on that, we're going to count down from 10 to 1, and we're going to light the tree, okay? Kids, come on up here. Put your hands up there somehow, on each other, there you go. Oops, hold on, here comes Turner. Can you let Turner in there? Don't fall off the stage, Turner. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's count down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There it is. I don't know where it is back there. What? Where there is a tree somewhere. I can barely see it. Trust me. God bless you all.
That's how we light trees at the Lowry House too. We just hope and pray it works. Our tree is up. I'm sure yours are too, or they will be soon. You know, our tree at home even has a couple of gifts underneath it. Those gifts, well, they represent something. Tonight we lit a tree, and it has no gifts under it, except it really does. You are the gift to the Lipscomb community. Under the Lipscomb tree, we have lives, we have people, and they're living God's story. You have claimed Lipscomb University and the story we're trying to live, and we are so very, very grateful for you and the gift you are to our lives. We love this community, and we love the way you let us be a part of who you are, living in God's story. You know, trees have been a part of God's story and been important in God's story for a long time. There was a tree in the very first garden. It told us about the tree of life. There was a tree in the very first century that told us what would happen when man fell and humankind fell so that we could live again in God's story. We don't always know what it means to live in God's story. But just like Matt told us, we have nothing to be afraid of. There are people in the eastern part of our state tonight that are praying for this rain that we're praying for it to hold off. They are praying for it to hurry up and come. That's what it means to live in God's story. What looks to us like a threat, to someone else is a promise. It is the paradox of living in God's story. Friends, our hope tonight is that as you live this next year in God's story, that you would not see it as a threat, but you would see it as a promise. We're going to take just a few minutes before we sing our traditional silent night, and we're going to get real quiet, and we're going to take just a few minutes of silence to pray for our brothers and sisters in Gatlinburg and in the eastern part of our state, that as this rain passes over us, that God's story would give them hope in the midst of a very, very traumatic time. Would you just go in silence with me for a minute and say a prayer for our family in eastern Tennessee? You know our tradition. We end by singing Silent Night. Would you join us as Amy leads us in the singing of Silent Night?